oh look at this poor transgender woman who looks exactly like a woman. But no, they could have used this image, right? This is the man with facial hair. Tickle versus Giggle, which sounds funny, right? But this has brought a lot of sadness to me, to my life. Seeing the result of this case, transgender woman, quote unquote, woman, wins case in Australia against female-only app. Hopefully most of you have been following this story. I did mention it once before. But Roxanne Tickle, who is the name of this trans-identified male, who was born male but has identified as a woman since 2017, go figure, was awarded £5,000 after suing a woman-only app which had blocked her. The transgender woman won the case but received a fraction of the £100,000 she had sought. So I woke up on the morning that this was announced, that Sall Grover lost this case, and it's devastating. I honestly just can't believe it, the world we're living in. And this is taken from The Telegraph. The Telegraph is my choice of newspapers as far as mainstream media goes. In the UK, I think it covers broadly a lot of the things that some of the other outlets don't, but still, they conform to this pronoun obligation. There are cases in which males absolutely should be called he, and this is one of the cases. Just the cognitive dissonance of seeing the photo of this man and calling him she, and it's such a discredit to Sall Grover. And I know that this mainstream media outlet would definitely be on the side of Sall Grover, the Australian woman who created this app Giggle, which is designed for women to connect in a social space and talk about women's issues. And no, they're not allowed to have that because an entitled male, a trans-identified male who clearly has autogynephilia, a sexual erotic desire to be a woman, comes in and says, nope, you're not having that. I'm going to take you to court, and looking for £100,000 in damages. That is just absolutely heartbreaking. Apparently, this was the outcome they were expecting, which is devastating. And I've so much respect for Sall Grover and her team and whoever else is involved in fighting this ridiculous battle. 3 years of her life has been wasted just because she decided to create a positive initiative for women to connect. And now you have these men coming in saying, no. You're not allowed to have that. You better let me on or I'm going to take you to court and I'm going to beat you. There is not a woman in the world who'd have taken me to court to use this woman-only space. It takes a man for this case to exist. And she hits the nail on the head. The whole reason why we're having this debate and these cases are being taken to court is because these people are men. And all they have to do is put their hand up and say, I am now a woman. And then all of this madness unfolds. This is the consequence. This is the downstream effect of a society unequivocally accepting, the government unequivocally accepting institutions for all purposes, that a male who then decides to identify as a woman is a woman for all intents and purposes. This is the reality. And I think whether this court had to go with legislation that is currently in place or whether the judge is absolutely senile, it doesn't matter, because when these things go unchecked and, you know, the initial sentiment is these are a very small portion of the population, let's be kind to them. And I do understand that thinking, like I'm with you. But it's not fair when you exclude the majority group, i.e. women, from being able to have their own space. Men and women deserve their own spaces if they should want so. Same with gay males and gay females, you know. And then you have this male thinking he can feel entitled to take this from women, a space where women want to be able to talk about, you know, their daughter's menstrual cycle and how to deal with that. They do not want men there, especially men who are probably getting a sexual gratification from this. So the Australian court has ruled that sex is changeable and not necessarily binary in a decision on transgender rights. And I'm not a judge, but that's just 100% untrue. We all know that's untrue. The judge knows it's untrue. These stupid, ridiculous academic courses, Judith Butler and Foster Sterling, the whole gender studies and queer studies world has caused so many of these issues by suggesting that sex is not binary when it is one of the most fundamental things about the human experience, and now we're getting that wrong. There was a time when women did not have their own bathrooms. They used to hold their pee in for the whole day because they would risk being assaulted otherwise. We went past that. We solved that issue in the West, and now we are reversing course. So, if you can't beat them, join them. And this is what we're seeing with these males who do not want women to have their own space. So let's see what Roxy Tickle had to say.
Case and the unlawful and discriminatory exclusion from the Giggle app has stolen the last 3 years of my life. I've been targeted by hateful and online commentary and degrading merchandise designed to ridicule and mock me.
Merchandise. Yeah. So stolen the last 3 years of your life. No, you have stolen the last 3 years of Sall Grover's life. I have no idea how much money she's lost personally, but I can only assume that it's a great deal, or if not, a hell of a lot of crowdfunding is had to go into that. And you have lost 3 years of your life. This man is pathetic, and I'm not afraid to say it. If I wanted to join an app and someone said, sorry, we don't accommodate for people like you, even if I disagree with that for whatever reason, I'm like, see ya, don't want to be ya. I'd rather be around people that actually want me. And an example of that is some of these queer spaces now that only accept people that have beliefs that they agree with, that only accept the non-binary stuff, the pronoun stuff. They would not want me in that space if they knew my views. Sometimes I'm still in some of these gay bars, and until my platform becomes bigger, then I'm not really going recognized. But who knows, that might change. But if someone said, we don't want you, it's like that case in America, other cases where a Christian bakery has said, we don't want to make a cake for a gay wedding because it's against our beliefs. I would not waste my time taking these people to court, being completely pathetic and trying to force them to do something that they don't want to do. Would I want a bakery forced to make a cake for me? No. I would want a bakery that supports me and is really happy to celebrate my gay wedding to make a cake for me. Just this concept of forcing your way into something that in where you are not wanted. And there's an argument for that when it's genuine discrimination based off completely immutable characteristics. Oh, no blacks allowed in this restaurant. Yes, okay. That's for sure a court case that could be legitimately and proudly pursued. But to sit here and play the victim, it is so pathetic. And of course, you've been mocked and ridiculed online because you are stealing women's rights. And you don't deserve sympathy, Roxy. Gross name. They always pick these sort of fetishistic, like Luna, Roxy, Genevieve. Like, what are up with these? They're sort of like names of strippers or burlesque dancers.
There is so much hate and bile cast on trans and gender diverse people simply because of who we are. Sometimes it's difficult to remember that not all people are like that. When I walked into the courtroom for the hearing...
Yeah, so you've decided that being called a male is hate when that's what you are. It's not hate to acknowledge the truth. I'm sorry. And it's not hate to say, look, I wish you well, but this app isn't for you. It's not hate.
In April, I felt safe because I was treated with courtesy and respect and allowed to tell my story. I'm pleased by the outcome of my case.
It's so pathetic how we're using this word safe in Western society. We are treating people like absolute children in this day and age. We live in a society where we are so privileged to be free from, well, largely be free from violence, war, and we're using these words safe as if they mean anything in this context. You don't have to have people call you a woman to be safe, okay? No one's going to harm you. Most people would not abuse you verbally in person. Sure, you have stuff online, but it is a dog whistle to force people to conform to your version of the world, and the fact that you're going to be suicidal if people don't conform to your version of the world. It is an abusive tactic. And if you just take a step back, right? I mean, nothing about this person looks female. He might have a bit of plumpness to his face from estrogen, whatever. If he's even taking that, right? Because some of these men prefer to keep their sex drives, right? While enjoying this identity of a woman. Place this guy in an abusive family. okay, where he is abusing his wife verbally, possibly physically. Let's stick with verbally because he's not harmed anyone physically. And the kids, right? Narcissistic behavior, abuses people, and then they play the victim and pretend like, oh, the whole world is out to get me, poor me. You know, it's very reminiscent of an experience I've had with a family member. Constant abuse, constant gaslighting. And then when you try and challenge situation, it is, woe is me, you're all against me, you've always been out to get me. And that is what a lot of these abusive men do to their wives and kids to stop them from leaving. Even going as far as saying, if you leave, I'm going to be suicidal. And this is the same thing. You need to see that this is the same thing. Just saying that you are trans gives you a scot-free, get out of jail free card to so many people. And you guys who believe that, if any of you are watching, you are being played for a fool. You are leaving yourself so vulnerable to a whole group of people that can do whatever they want to you based off this raising my hand. You know, we see this from other demographics. People conforming to critical race theory, they think they can abuse white people, or that they are entitled to certain things over other races, or they can use slurs. And a lot of people will allow that because, you know, oh, well, they've been discriminated against. No, okay, I'm not of the opinion that we disparage one group in order to pay reparations to another. You need to take a serious look at yourself. If you're looking at this male taking a poor woman to court, who is incredibly strong, I just want to say, and I have so much respect for Sall Grover, taking her to court and removing her ability just to create an app that was designed to be a very positive thing for women. And if you think that because trans people exist, people with a trans identity exist, that there is no scenario in which people of a certain biological sex deserve their own space, you seriously need to take a look in the mirror and realize, sure, you can hold this belief, but what happens when it's other things, okay? It's just devastating. And I understand, you know, we always have to come back to this idea is that most people have good intentions. Most people are trying to be kind, but empathy traps are a thing. Epistemic bubbles are a problem. And if you are blind by empathy, you leave yourself open to vulnerability. That is the truth.
And I hope it is healing for trans and gender diverse people.
The fake crocodile tears are just mind-numbing. How can anyone agree with this? I really hope that stuff like this, stuff like Leah Thomas, stuff like the stuff that happened in the Olympics really make people understand, okay, wait, these people are asking too much of us. They're asking too much. If trans people advocated for their own spaces, if Stonewall and these charities spent all these years not abusing lesbian women, gay people, and people that want single-sex spaces, if they had put all their donations and money into lobbying businesses to create third spaces, lobbying gyms to have an option for people who don't want to be in single-sex spaces, imagine how different this would be. And if they stopped going after the kids, I feel we would be in a very different scenario and these people would be more integrated into society. But that's not the road they've taken. And unfortunately, you're going to be your own downfall, these people of the trans community, because they're asking for far too much. They're pushing and pushing and pushing. It's going to get to the stage where people are like, no, I'm not doing it. All of you go away. And we see that. Some people, like Helen Joy said in my last episode, she's lost all sympathy. But there are trans people out there who disagree with this vehemently and want their space in the world to be different. And these people are ruining that. They're ruining it. Okay, let's see what Sall Grover had to say.
And I'll pull you up there because you keep referencing to Roxy Tickle as he. Yet a judge has found today that Roxy Tickle is a woman.
Yeah, I mean, law is supposed to reflect reality. And in reality, this person is a male. So, I mean, you can make a court believe something, I suppose, but you're not going to make me believe it. So to be punished for acknowledging biological sex, I think puts all Australians at risk of being punished for having human instincts.
Couldn't have said it better, and I respect her so much for being able to keep her cool throughout all of this. So many women and gay people and other people have been going along with their lives, wanting to live a normal life, like Kathleen Stock wanting to be a professor, like Maya Forstater wanting to work for a think tank, like Helen Joyce working for The Economist. And these people did not want to spend years of their life clarifying, hey guys, remember that thing of male and female? Yeah, that actually exists. And facing financial consequences, social ostracization. They do not want to spend all their time fighting this. And sure, you have some TERFs who do just legitimately hate men. People on the other side are guilty of this. 2, we have to be careful of this empathy trap because some women, some gender critical people are giving the other side a free pass and not questioning, wait, so this is a movement. And when you have a movement like this, there will be a portion of people who enter the movement for personally motivated reasons that are nefarious or counterintuitive to the movement itself. And there are some people of the gender critical side who simply hate men and they're using this as an opportunity, right? That's not the majority of them, but we keep falling into this pattern of we have a movement, and because we have a goal with the movement, then all behavior is sort of allowed. There's people in this conversation who I respect, but I don't agree with their approach because I think it alienates people, and I think power has gone to some people's heads, and that's how I feel. Sall Grover is not one of these people. She's like, yeah, I'm using he because he's a male. Are you guys not getting it? And then the interviewer is saying she, probably because he feels he has to. And she hit the nail on the head with, a court can say something, it doesn't make it true. We trust our legal system. We used to trust law and order in the West. And just because an institution exists, it doesn't force you to have to believe it forever. You can lose faith in the institution. That's okay. Now, the institution can decide to lock you up, and that's 1984, extreme socialism. But it's the truth. We're going to look back on this the same way we looked back on flat earthers. Who was it that came out with, I can't remember, put a photo of him on the screen, but someone saying, hey, wait, no, the world is not flat. It's a sphere. And then those people are condemned and locked away. This is the same thing. People need to wake up. Look at this tweet from Amnesty International. Roxanne Tickle has won her discrimination case against the social media app Giggle for Girls, which blocked her from joining on the basis of being male. This is a step forward in ensuring transgender women are not discriminated against on the basis of their gender identity. When did Amnesty International become this ideological social justice charity? Aren't they supposed to advocate for human rights, like being free from violence and not being kids, not being forced to be soldiers at war? But no, so many of these people, these charities, these bodies have pivoted from genuine issues. They could be advocating for gay safety in the Middle East and helping those people. But instead, they've chosen this fight. And then look at the image they've chosen. Oh, look at this poor transgender woman who looks exactly like a woman. But no, they could have used this image, right? This is the man with facial hair who is not a woman. And you're not going to make me believe it, no matter what, okay? We need to stand up to this. Sall Grover said she will appeal. I'm glad she's going to do that. And like we had in the UK with Maya Forstater, who got fired because she said sex is immutable and binary, she also lost the case initially. Then she appealed, she won the case, and now we have a law in the UK protecting gender critical beliefs as per the Equality Act of 2010. Maya Forstater is the reason, along with anyone else that helped her, that we have this law. And I really hope Australia follows suit.